Welcome to another Fantasy Goodfellas video where we talk about the top 30 wide receiver rankings for week 9. Richard, you ready?
Let's do it.
The Fantasy Goodfellas.
Boom, boom, boom.
Rolling on the field.
The Fantasy Goodfellas.
All right, before we get started on this week's rankings, Richard, tell me how we did last week.
Okay, if we take out, again, we do these rankings early. If we take out Jamar Chase, Deebo Samuel, and Alan Lazard, who didn't play, we hit on 21 of 27 wide receivers. Boom, boom, boom. I challenge people to make their own top 30 lists and see how many wide receivers they hit on. There are so many wide receivers, such a difficult landscape to predict. Very proud. This week, 21 of 27. It's outstanding.
I think so too. And before we get started, let's just explain what you should expect in our videos. Richard gives his rankings, and I'll use the stat machine to see if you agree or disagree with each of his rankings. And hopefully this video will help you with your own lineups. All right, Richard, line them up.
First, again, let's talk buys. Cleveland, Dallas, Denver, the Giants, Pittsburgh, and San Francisco. 6 teams on a bye this week. Number 1, Tyreek Hill at Chicago. It's time we give Tyreek Hill some love. I mean, I've had him ranked high every week, but he's number 1 this week. He leads the league in receiving yards. And you know the touchdowns will come. He should have more touchdowns, but he is on pace to break the NFL record for receiving yards. And number 2, Cooper Kupp at Tampa Bay. Cooper Kupp, super consistent, but the Rams are fading, but we still have him at number 2. And number 3, Justin Jefferson at Washington. The Vikings just picked up TJ Hockenson, just getting notice right now, and we'll see. I think that's just going to open up that offense. More possibilities for Kirk Cousins, and maybe Justin Jefferson gets more one-on-one coverage. And number 4, Stefon Diggs at the New York Jets. Josh Allen, amazing. Stefon Diggs, amazing. You got to love him. And number 5, DeAndre Hopkins, home against Seattle. It's a great matchup. Hopkins looks great. He looked horrible last year. So, I had my doubts, especially after suspension, how he's coming back. But he looks like the old DeAndre Hopkins, the prime DeAndre Hopkins. If you have him on your team, you lucked out. And number 6, A.J. Brown at Houston. It's a good matchup. We saw what A.J. Brown does when Jalen Hurts throws to him. It's been very, very good. And number 7, Jaylen Waddle at Chicago. Jaylen Waddle just scored 2 touchdowns. Yes, 2 Dolphin receivers in the top 10. Absolutely. They are, I believe, number 1 and number 4 in receiving yards for the season. Tua is looking good, much better than he did last week. So I think he rebounded from that concussion. And number 8, Amon-Ra St. Brown, home against Green Bay. There's no TJ Hockenson in Detroit, so Amon-Ra St. Brown should see even more targets. And Green Bay, that game could be a shootout. And number 9, T. Higgins, home against Carolina. T. Higgins got a touchdown in week 8. Again, no Jamar Chase, so T. Higgins should do well. And
Hold up. The only thing I think about T. Higgins is, why can't he put up unbelievable numbers? What's holding him back? He's steady. He's okay, but what could be great?
I just don't think he's that great receiver. Some people they would say that like the latter half of last season, T. Higgins put up better numbers than Jamar Chase. He's not Jamar Chase. If you watch the games, T. Higgins will make a good catch here and there. He'll make some plays. He can be good. He can be very good. He's just not going to be Jamar Chase. And number 10, Mike Evans, home against the LA Rams. Mike Evans fading, just like that whole, the whole Buccaneer team, but still Brady throws for a lot of yards. They just got to get in the end zone. And Mike Evans is a touchdown scorer, so we'll see. At number 11, Devontae Adams at Jacksonville. It's a great matchup, but man, Derek Carr had a terrible week 8. This is the week to rebound. Again, they give the ball to Josh Jacobs over and over and forget that they have Devontae Adams on the team. Look, hey, Josh McDaniels, look at a real coach. Look at Mike McDaniels. See what they're doing in Miami. Stop trying to be Bill Belichick. And number 12, DK Metcalf at Arizona. So we thought Metcalf was going to miss some time. He didn't. He might not be 100%, good enough to score. That offense is good in Seattle. Geno Smith has looked good. And Metcalf, once he gets to 100%, is arguably the most explosive receiver in the NFL, maybe except Tyreek Hill. And number 13, Chris Olave, home against Baltimore. Chris Olave has been great all season. The rookie has been tremendous. Didn't have a good week 8, but he didn't have to because Derek Carr and the Raiders couldn't put up any points. So all New Orleans had to do was rely on Alvin Kamara. And number 14, Gabe Davis, who will be at the New York Jets. Gabe Davis didn't do much in week 8. He didn't really need to do much. We'll see what they need to do against the Jets, but he's always ready to make a huge play. And number 15, Tyler Lockett at Arizona. I like both Metcalf and Lockett this week. I think it's going to be a shootout. Seattle at Arizona. 2 bad defenses, 2 great offenses. And number 16, Terry McLaurin, home against Minnesota. For those of you that saw the end of that Washington, the Commanders, Indianapolis game, what a catch by McLaurin to help them win. We'll see more of that. Again, I talked about it in past weeks. There is a chemistry between Heineke and McLaurin. And number 17, Chris Godwin, home against the LA Rams. Again, everybody's being downgraded on that Tampa Bay offense because they're not scoring touchdowns. But Godwin's still a very good receiver. Brady still throws for a lot of yards. And number 18, Tyler Boyd, home against Carolina. Boyd scored in week 8. He's now the number 2 receiver in Cincinnati while Chase is out. So I think both Higgins and Boyd are going to put up decent numbers. Burrow's a great quarterback. I like them both in my top 20. And number 19, DJ Moore. Welcome back to DJ Moore. In fact, I had him here last week, but now he's up a little higher. Who would have thunk it, right? Walker is actually looking like a decent quarterback, at least decent enough to get him the ball. Way better than Baker Mayfield, but that's not saying much. At number 20, Juju Smith-Schuster, home against Tennessee. Smith-Schuster just came off a bye, but in week 7 had a big week. Hopefully it's a trend. Hopefully he does become the number 1 target for Patrick Mahomes. And number 21, Devontae Smith at Houston. It's a great matchup. Devontae Smith, when targeted, makes big plays. He's just not always targeted, obviously overshadowed by A.J. Brown. And number 22, Keenan Allen at Atlanta. If I knew Keenan Allen was 100% or close to it, I would rank him much higher, but we still don't know. At number 23, Jacoby Myers, home against Indianapolis. Believe it or not, I like Myers a lot better with Zappy at quarterback, but Mac Jones is what's coming out, and we'll see how he does, but Myers is the number 1 receiver on that Patriots team. And number 24, Adam Thielen at Washington. Adam Thielen is a PPR monster. We'll see now with TJ Hockenson on that offense what happens to Thielen. At number 25, Michael Pittman at New England. And Pittman should be a lot higher. Pittman's a very good receiver. But Sam Ehlinger is his quarterback, and I still don't know what we're going to get there. At number 26, Romeo Doubs at Detroit. I should have more Packer receivers here, but I don't know who's going to get the ball. Doubs he made the top 30 last week. So we'll keep him here, but it's a great matchup. And number 27, Christian Kirk, home against Las Vegas. Great matchup, crappy quarterback. Trevor Lawrence has looked horrendous, but if someone's going to score a touchdown or make a touchdown reception in this game, it's going to be Christian Kirk, other than Travis Etienne. And number 28, Joshua Palmer at Atlanta. I like Palmer here because, again, Mike Williams isn't playing, so he's going to be the number 2 receiver for the Chargers against a terrible Falcons defense. And number 29, Rondale Moore, home against Seattle. Same thing as we just said. Rondale Moore, number 2 receiver on his team, but he's playing against a horrendous defense. And at number 30, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, who will be home against Tennessee. The reason why we have MVS here is because Patrick Mahomes has been great. Both Juju and MVS made the top 30 2 weeks ago, and so did Hardman. So I'm going to have 2 Chiefs here.
All right, before we leave, let's just look at some of the other rankings. You have Mike Evans at 10. Some other rankings have him at 15. And the only reason why I bring it up is because you're downgrading Tom Brady and that whole team, but you still got him pretty high.
Yeah, that's a fair point. It's just Mike Evans. he did well that in week 8. Even though the team didn't do well, he's still okay, and he's still that number 1 receiver on that offense. Brady passes for a lot of yards. They just need to start scoring touchdowns. But yeah, I'm still giving Mike Evans more respect than some. I agree, but I think he's fine at 10.
All right. Some other rankings have DK Metcalf at 18. You have him at 12. And when it's a 30 ranking, it might seem close, but that's pretty far apart in my eyes.
Yeah, it's I love DK Metcalf. I think he's an explosive guy. I know he's hurt, and that's the only reason why someone would drop him so low. But that Seattle offense, Geno Smith has looked great. Tyler Lockett is a great compliment. Skywalker, great running back. I think Metcalf's going to be fine. And if he's close to 100% and he's actually not as hurt as people thought he was, I think he can easily surpass his value as a number 12 receiver.
All right. And the last one, Rondale Moore. You have him at 29. Some rankings have him at 21. What gives?
Yeah, I mean, I can't blame him. Great matchup. He had a decent week 8. It's probably going to be a shootout of a game. It's Rondale. I don't know. It doesn't seem as sexy to me. We'll see. If he has another spectacular week, I'll have to change my approach.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on here and sharing your top 30 wide receiver rankings for week 9. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you follow our videos, people ask us a ton of questions in the comment section, and this man right here answers them.
Yes, I want to help. I'm here to help. And don't give up on your teams if you're not doing well. And if you're doing well, you're probably watching our videos.
The fantasy good fellas.
rolling on the field.
The fantasy good fellas.